Good morning, students of class 10th. In the previous video, we have discussed about your topic, that what are the challenges that are faced by the political parties. And in today's video, we will be discussing that how parties can be reformed, right? There were some challenges, and in today's video, we are going to discuss with the next topic, that how the parties can be reformed. Okay, so before starting the chapter, I would like that all of you should keep the NCRT books with yourselves, so that while I'm teaching, you are able to develop a better understanding of the chapter, because I am teaching from NCRT only. So for your convenience, it would be helpful if you are opening the books and keeping it by your side while attending the video. Okay, so let us start the video. Let us start the chapter. And the topic which we are going to study today is how parties can be reformed. That what are the changes that can be made within the political parties, right? So that they are able to develop a better understanding among they are able to better represent the democracy. Okay, so let us start the topic. In order to face these challenges, political parties needed to be reformed. The challenges were discussed in the previous video, like there were challenges for money, there were challenge for dynastic politics, there was challenge for less of internal democracy between the among the party, right? So there were different challenges, and let us understand that how those challenges can be addressed or what changes can be made. In order to face these challenges, political parties needed to be reformed. Reformed means that there should be some changes that should come within the political parties, so that they are able to address the problem of the public in a efficient manner. Are political parties willing to reform? There are various questions which are raised, and let us understand those questions. The first question which is raised is, are political parties ready to be reformed? Are they ready to be reformed? Are they ready to change themselves? Are the political parties ready to change themselves? The first question is this. The second question is, if they are ready to change, what has prevented them from reforming so far? The second question is, what have prevented them from reforming so far? And the third question is that, if they are not willing, is it possible to force them to reform? The third thing is it possible to force them to reform? So these are the three questions, that are political parties ready to be reformed, that are the political parties ready that now they should be changed. If the answer to this question is yes, if the answer is yes, then the second question arises, that if yes, then why are they not reforming, or what have prevented them from reforming so far? And if the answer is no, then the question arises is that, is it possible for them to reform? It is possible for them to, for the public to force them to reform, right? So citizens all over the world face these questions. These are some of the questions which are faced by the citizens which are all over the world. So it is not a simple question to answer. In a democracy, the final decision is made by the leader who represent political parties. People can replace them, but only by another set of political leaders. Right? Means that the public, the general public, can replace the political parties, but the public will be replacing the political party with a political party. Are you able to understand what I am saying? That, like, suppose there is BJP in power right now, and the public is thinking that the political party is not doing well, it is not a good political party, it should be replaced. So the thing or the person with whom the the BJP will be replaced will be a political party only, right? So it is also a political party. There may be some problems, the similar problems may be faced by them also. Okay, so if all of them do not wish to reform, how can anyone force them to change? Let us look at some of the recent efforts and suggestions in our country to reform political parties and its leaders, right? So these were the questions that, okay, they are not ready to change, and are we able to force them, right? So these questions don't have an answer, and there are some of the suggestions in our country that have been in debate, that these steps should be taken so that there can be a reform in the political parties. See, the constitution was amended to prevent elected MLAs and MPs from changing parties, right? And a legislature amendment was made, or you can say a law was changed for the MPs and MLAs who changed their parties after getting selected, and that is known as the anti-defection law. What is its name? It is anti-defection law. Okay, what is anti-defection law and what is defection? Let us understand that first of all. What is defection? Let us take an example that I am a political leader, and I have been elected from Bareilly constituency only, and I am a member of BJP, and BJP is in power right now. Okay, I am a member of BJP, and from BJP's ticket I have been elected as the MLA of this area of Bareilly. Then after being elected as MLA, there are some of the political disturbances in the legislative assembly, due to which I have been bribed by, or I have been persuaded by the opposition political party that I should leave the BJP and join their party. I hope you are able to understand this till now, that some of the motivations or some of the attractions are given to me from the opposition party that I should leave the BJP, because if I will leave the BJP and many others like me will leave the BJP who are the elected members of BJP, then BJP will lose its majority stake in the legislative assembly and the government will fall. So that is known as defection, and if I will change the party, that process is known as defection. In the glossary also it is given on page number 85 that defection is changing party from the changing party allegiance from the party on which a person got elected to a legislative body or a different party, that after being elected on the ticket of BJP from Bareilly and going to the MLA, to the legislative assembly and becoming MLA, after becoming MLA I changed my party from BJP to Congress, let's say. So I am defecting. So to protect that, to prevent that, an anti-defection law was passed in the parliament. This was done because many elected representatives were indulging in defection in order to become ministers or for cash rewards, right? Because they were developing a pressure on the government that if you will not make us ministers, or those people who were given cash from the opposition party, those people used to change the political parties. Okay, now the law says that if any MLA or MP changes party, he or she will lose a seat in the legislature. Now earlier it was, before the existence of anti-defection law, there was a there was no provision like that. But after the existence of anti-defection law, there is a provision that if a person will change his political party after being selected, after being elected from that on the ticket of that party, then he will not be allowed to be a member of legislative assembly. Okay, this new law has helped bringing defection down. At the same time, this has made and this made then this had made any dissent even more difficult. MPs and MLAs have to accept whatever party leader decide. So on one hand, okay, anti-defection law is passed to prevent the government from being fallen, but this anti-defection law is also playing an important role for the exploitation of the MPs and MLAs, because many times MPs and MLAs will have to follow the orders of the party leaders even though they are not willing to do so. The Supreme Court passed an order to reduce the influence of money and criminals. Now it's mandatory for every candidate who contests election to file an affidavit giving details of his property and criminal cases pending against him. That the second point says that even the Supreme Court has taken some steps to curb this, and Supreme Court has made it mandatory for every candidate who is appearing in the election that he will have to file an affidavit. An affidavit is a declaration which states that the person is not having any criminal case pending against him, or the person is not uh, or the person, or he will have to declare the property that is with him. Okay, so these are the case. The new system has made a lot of information available to the public, but there is no system of check in the information given by the candidates is true, right? So this is a system that have been made, but so this was the law that was made by the Supreme Court, that the candidates will need to file a affidavit. Okay, but there is no system of check in the information given by the candidates is true, that though they need to file an affidavit, but then also there is no system to check that the declaration made by them in the affidavit is true or not. As yet we do not know if it has led to decline in the influence of the rich and the criminals, and there is no data stating that what is the effect of that ruling which is given by the Supreme Court, but this is the ruling that is given. The third thing is, the Election Commission passed an order making it necessary for political parties to hold their organizational election and file their income tax returns. The parties have started doing so, but sometimes it is mere formality. Okay, so here it is also given that many times the now the Election Commission has also made it mandatory for the political parties to file their income tax returns, and they also need to hold their organizational elections, right? And they also need to hold their organizational elections, that every year the political parties need to conduct their elections in which they will elect their presidents. The third thing is, a law should be made to regulate an internal affairs of political parties, and there are some of the suggestions. Now these are three things that have been done. That first of all, the Election Commission has made it mandatory for the political parties to file their income tax returns. Next, the Supreme Court has passed an order that the candidates should file an affidavit while filling their candidature form, that while they are standing from a constituency for elections, so before that they should file a form, and in that form they should also file an affidavit stating their properties and stating that they don't have a legal case, the criminal case against them. And the third thing is that the anti-defection law that was passed. Now there are some of the suggestions. A law should be made to regulate the internal affairs of political parties. It should be made compulsory for political parties to maintain a register of its members, to follow its own constitution, to have an independent authority, to act as judge in case of party disputes. Right. So what does the suggestion mean? The first point means that there should be a law that should be made to regulate the internal matters of the political parties. A law should be made for that. The second thing is, it should be made mandatory to maintain a member of a register of members, a register in which the name of the members is kept. To follow its own constitution, it should be made mandatory that every party should follow its own constitution, and an independent authority should be made so that it should listen to the disputes of the political parties. Next point states that it should be mandatory for political parties to give a minimum number of tickets, about 1/3 to women candidates. The second suggestion states that for women representation, for better women representation, the political parties should give tickets to women candidates. And 1/3 of the women candidates means, if a party is giving 99 tickets overall in a constituency, then 1/3, the 33 tickets should be given to women. Okay, women candidates. Similarly, there should be a quota for women in the decision making bodies of the party, and there should also be a quota for the decision making in the parties for the women. There should be state funding of elections. The government should give parties money to support their election expenses, and it should be the duty of the government to give money to the parties for elections, so that the black market, the black money should not be involved in the election time for the campaigning. Okay, this support could be given in kind, petrol, paper, telephone, etc., or it could be given in cash on the basis of votes secured by the party in the last elections. Okay, so these are the some of the suggestions that had been given in your chapter. Okay, so students, I hope you are able to understand the topic, that what are the reforms which are already made and what are the suggestions. That 3 suggestions are given. The first suggestion states that there should be a register of members of the political parties, and it should be made compulsory for political parties to follow its own constitution, and there should be a law made to regulate the internal affairs of the political parties. This is first suggestion. The second suggestion states that it should be mandatory for political parties to give a minimum 1/3 of the seats to women in the constituencies, and it should also give a quota of 1/3 to the women while making decisions. And the third is, there should be state funding of elections, that the elections should be funded by the state so that the black money usage can be curbed. Okay, so these suggestions have not yet been accepted by the political parties. If and when these are accepted, these could lead to some improvement. So these can bring about some of the reforms that is much needed, so that the political parties are able to solve their challenges. Okay, but we must be very careful about legal solutions of political problems. Over regulation of political parties can be counterproductive. That if we are over regulating the political parties, it can lead to some of the problems that we should avoid. Okay, so students, with this your chapter political parties is complete, and tomorrow we will meet with a new video of the topic money and credit, which is in economics. Okay, so till then, I hope you are able to understand the topic through this video lecture. We will meet in the next video Till then, stay at your homes and stay safe. Thank you.